Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regular public meeting of the City Council of Dieppe on this March the 9th, 2015. We have quite a few visitors with us. I'll talk about it later on. I would say in about 5 minutes, we will come to you. Opening prayer. God, give me this wisdom. Let's start over again. God, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Good evening. Welcome to one and all. We will now call to order confirmation of quorum. We have a quorum tonight. Any conflict of interest to be declared? None. We go on with the adoption of the agenda. Moved by Mrs. Dallas, seconded by Councillor Godet on the question. All those in favor say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried, and the agenda is adopted as presented. We shall proceed to the presentation, inquiries, and petitions. 7.1. Inquiries by council members to the Kodiak Regional RCMP. Do you have any questions from the councillors for Mr. Jimmy George? For Inspector Jimmy George, who finally has received his grade recently. Thank you. Congratulations. Councillor Beliveau, question. Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Simply on the file that I've mentioned previously, I would like to have some information. I have requested a meeting with Inspector George for later on this week. Some activities have started pertaining to this file. We want to find a way to communicate some advice, some suggestions, and some good practice of driving practice. So we'll probably be able to come out with something good. I simply want to let you know that we are going in the proper direction. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Mr. Beliveau. So it's not often that we tell the police. Sometimes they say, "You are freed. You may go." Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, and good evening, Inspector. Now, 7.2. Before we go on with this item, everyone knows that the Canada Games, the Winter Games, would just finish in Prince George, BC, hardly a few weeks, maybe a week ago. And in all, we had 21 athletes from the city of Dieppe who participated in different disciplines in 12 different sports, more or less. And we have with us tonight the members of the Ragged team of Ragged. I will risk to name them. I'll name all those from outside first. So, from Fredericton, Laureen Scott, Mrs. Catherine Pringle, assistant coach, Emily Gould from Mermancook, from Chediac, Kim Melanson, and Shani Cormier from Moncton, Brittany Snowden. I'll start over again. Wave when I mention your name, please. Wave. I'll start from Fredericton. Lauren Scott, she's not here. And Mrs. Pringle is not here either. From Mermancook, Emily Gould, neither. Kim Melanson, hi Kim. Shani Cormier, not here. From Brittany Snowden from Moncton, hi Brittany. Jenny Snowden. Claudia Cullinan. From Baktosh, Katia Arsenault. From Grandi, Rene Richard. Not here. And from Miramichi, Jade McDonald. Not here. However, from Dieppe, we have Catherine Lang. Hi, Catherine. Miguel Pro. Hi. Joey Gango. Hi. Brigitte Savoie. Hi. Fine. Your hands was hidden behind one of the director. Sabrina Cormier. Hi, Sabrina. Natalie Poirier. Isabelle Cormier. Dominique Leblanc. And obviously, the coach Gilles Brou. Gilles is not with us, unfortunately, for personal reasons, and the assistant coach, Mr. Andre Vautour. Welcome to you all. There is several other athletes from the city of Dieppe who participated in other sports. Badminton, Pascal Leroy. I don't think they were invited to attend. So I think it's important to mention their name. In gymnastics, Rachel Perry as trainer. Women hockey, Graham, Chanel, and Norman Legier, our friend.
La mission du Nouveau-Brunswick.
Who was a member of the mission of New Brunswick. In photography, from what I've seen, you need a bit of practice. I had told him he was good with selfies, but he needs practice. Lexi McGrath, skating, Gabrielle André Savoie, Caribbean, Joshua Bashtaraj, trampoline, Mélissa Logelan, synchronized swimming, José Gauguin and Sweet, Véronique Sweet, Sébastien Leblanc, and Eric Melançon in squash. And these men are with the male hockey team. We mentioned the championship for the regular season of the Maritime Junior League. Ladies, I would ask you to come up front to take a picture with the mayor. I hope you won't be too shy about it. I forgot to mention that they won a bronze medal that they are wearing with pride. Congratulations, all these applauds are for them. Bronze medal winners. I would ask Audrey if you want to say a few words on behalf of the team. On the spot, Andre. We're used to whistle, not to speak in the mic. I would ask you not to whistle in the mic. It won't bother me, but maybe someone at the end of the room. I want to briefly tell you what they did to reach that level. With them, it started 2 or 3 years ago. The idea of attending the winter game, Canada game, that idea was sown in their head for 2015. They started thinking maybe we could make the Canada Games, participate in the Canada Games. From that, the idea made its way, and the second step was to make the team. Nobody had been chosen to be on the team when the selection camp was held a year ago, and 45 players came, and only 18 were chosen. So these and those that are not here tonight, first task, they thought that maybe it was the hardest task to be selected. It was only the beginning because the goal and objective that the coaches gave them was to be on the podium at the end of the Canada Games, either bronze, um, gold, or otherwise. It's mostly the big provinces that qualify for the podium in the Raguet. New Brunswick is not because of its population, such as Quebec, Ontario, and BC. The challenge was quite big, but I would tell you that they learned some lessons during the last 2 years, especially the last year. One thing they learned is personal discipline, to be well disciplined if you want to reach an objective. And the hill is steep. The second thing I noticed is the teamwork. We don't win a team medal without working as a team. When everything goes well, it's easy to work as a team. When it doesn't go that well, it's not easy. But these athletes, when it didn't go well, they look at each other and they said, we have a challenge. We will reach it as a team, not individually. The third thing, for many of our girls, I would say most of them, it was the management of their time. During the last year, they had, and I get 4 or 5 times a week. On top of that, some attend university, community college, senior high school. So all of that had to be managed during their time. So what they learn in managing their time will be helpful for the future. All in all, there's more than a bronze medal for these athletes. They'll be better citizens for their community and they'll contribute to their community. We're very proud of them and we know it will continue. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for these excellent comments. So this brings us to number 8. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to. If you want to leave, I would say take these 30 or 40 seconds to leave. Once again, don't be shy to stay if you so wish. Congratulations once again, and the parents also know what it means. Questions by members of the public. Number 8. That was part of the tactic. Now that the room is empty, there's not many people left to ask questions. If there's no questions, item number 9, adoption of minutes. Do we have a motion moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Leblanc, that we adopt the minutes as presented? All those that is February 23rd. All those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded, carried. So the minutes of February 23, 2015 is adopted. Number 10, motion memorandum. 10.1.1, finance package purchase of FIFA Women's World Cup. Good evening. As you know, in 2015, the region will be the host of FIFA 2015, the Women's World Cup that will be held in June. We received a proposal, Mountain Brie de Toussaint-Feu. So we want to purchase this package in the amount of $1,500 to participate in at some games. It is up for approval. Would someone so move? Moved by Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you. That council authorizes the purchase of the Mountain Brie de Toussaint-Feu package. which includes 8 stadium passports for council members to attend 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup events to be held in Moncton at the cost of $1,500 plus HST if applicable, and authorizes the expenditure be allotted among said council members' respective expense accounts. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Godet. On the question. All those in favor say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried as presented. Next item, 10.2. Mr. Manonson. Tender award for walkway construction project Babino Creek Trail. As you know, part of the trails were built on top of the it is allotted to Fraser and Son Limited the amount of $311,092.66 plus HST, and it was we received 3 tenders. The contract that is recommended is underestimated, so the recommendation is to us for approval tonight. Would someone so move? Councillor Leblanc. Your Worship, that Council awards the contract for the construction of 2 wooden walkways for the Babino Creek Trail project to the lowest bidder being J.K. Fraser and Son Limited at the cost of $311,692.66 plus HST, and authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-70-12-7609 Babino Creek Trail. I so move. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Godet. On the question. Mr. Godet, you have a question? Yes. Would like to know if these trail or these rails will make it such that as far as Thomas Street or further, does it make that sector of the trail, that piece of the trail, completely usable? Mr. Berg, to answer the question, no, because it's only the portion from Acadie Street up to Toma. There is another phase in the future that will start at Toma and go further. And at the other part of Thomas towards Pascal, or I don't know, does it go very far? We already have a trail, an existing trail, so it will reach that trail from Thomas that make us to lead us to Meunier Street. So the connection, how would I say, it completes a good part of the network, so the citizens will be able to use it practically when. Let's give us the summer. We would hope by July, but depending on the weather, we know that it could probably go into August. But the contract, if you approve tonight, will be given. And when do you plan to develop the rest before Ali and Lacadie? In the budgetary in the budget, we will bring it to the council. Well, essentially next year, yes. Thank you. Any further question? If not, all those in favor of the resolution say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried and adopted. Next item, 10.2.2. Tender award for 2015 Trail Development Project. This is located approximately where Mike Big Shop is, something that was discussed last year with the contract J.K. Fraser and Son at a cost of $3,978.20 plus HST, and authorizes this expenditure to build this part of the trail. For resolution, Councillor Bilivo. Your Worship, that Council awards the contract for the 2015 Trail Development Project to the lowest bidder, J.K. Fraser and Son Limited at a cost of $30,978.20 plus HST, and authorizes the expenditure be defrayed from account number 1-2-70-80-3025 Trail System. I so move. Moved by Councilor Béliveau, seconded by Councilor Brideau. On the question, Mrs. Dallaire. Your Worship, I was wondering if someone could explain the difference between conventional light, steam light, and solar lights. What's the difference between the three? That's the next subject. Sorry, you're on the wrong one. Okay. Still at it. Yes. I wish to be enlightened on the connection. The sector that we see, of which I'm very happy to see we can go forward with this shortly. But the link at each end, are they ready? Are they usable? And where do they lead to? Mr. Burke. At this time, they're not usable. It's only the connection between Rufa and Engelhard. We plan in the future be able to continue towards Chartersville on one side and Champlain on the other, between Rufa and Gohart. Did I hear that we own the lands, or most of them? We own the property for the project we're presenting tonight, but for the rest, it's still planning to be done. So there are still lots to be bought or to be obtained one way or the other. With this, it allows to reach easily Pascal Street and other sector. Yes, by all means. Eventually, it will be part of a big network as long as it share highways, divided highways on Engelhard. Well, at this time, it should be, and Rufa. So all these agreements with the signage will come this summer. I can't guarantee that signage will be on the streets this year, but these are discussions or planning that must be done, but these are discussions we will have. They're not, it's not insolvable. It's the use of existing lane. As I say, we still have discussions to make. I encourage you to stimulate as quickly as possible. Fine, thank you. There's no other questions. Those in favor say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried and adopted. Carried. Which brings us to 10.2.3. Mr. Melanson, if you will enlighten us on this subject as much as possible. A tender award for street light installation project on Ivan Park last year. We purchased the land for playground. This year it's to embellish it, and we want to install some street lights. So the recommended tender is roadway system in the amount of $81,551.80 plus HST. To read the resolution, Councillor Cormier. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council awards the contract for the installation of streamlights as part of the Ivan Park to the lowest bidder, Roadway Systems Limited, at a cost of $81,551.80 plus HST, and authorizes this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-70-12-7604 Ivan Playground. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. On the question, Mrs. Dallaire. Same question as previously. What's the difference between the different lights, and more especially, would there be a difference of cost between the conventional light and those that are proposed, and what's the saving? What's the saving? Your Worship, I was expecting the question, so we prepared itself. Cost-wise, we compare the cost of the conventional lights that we recommend for consumption of energy. And the same thing for the solar light. And the difference in the use gave us a savings over 22 years. We took 22 years as a reference between that's the how long a solar lamp would last, and the saving was $1,700. As for the cost for the street lights for the lamps, savings is not the cost is not a lot, 21,000, but it's the maintenance that makes a difference because the solar lamps, the battery must be replaced every 2 or 3 years, and it's a cost of $3,000 per battery. So we took the 3 years as a reference, and not the 2, versus the conventional lights or lamps. Finally, replace the others, even if we have to replace the lamp per se. It's $1,700 over 22 years when you compare everything with the return. At this time, today doesn't mean in 5 time or 10 years, would not be interesting to look at that technology, but at this time, we recommend it. As for the cost and the return, and the lamps that we recommend are the same one that we have on that street at the present time. Thank you. Councillor Bilivo. Thank you, Your Worship. On the question of consume power, does it indicate the annual consumption? Yes, it's yearly per lamp. Per lamp. Okay. How many lamps do we are we installing? 6. So we're talking of almost $9,000 per year. That it will consumption $1,700 multiple over $10,000. The 6 by $164 per lamp per year. So it's $700 and some dollars. Is the annual cost. I want to make sure that I understand the consumption of power. Is it on a yearly basis? The difference is $1,700 between sodium and solar. $1,700 that you're mentioning, that's the total consumption over 22 years. Oh, it changes everything. Did you make an analysis? Would there be environmental factor that should be considered? Was that put in the equation? We did not do any analysis. So what you raised was the cost of the maintenance, and over a period of 22 years, you say? $1,700 compared to $132. The lamp that you will install, could it be converted to use a different bulb? The existing lamp on these streets were not converted yet. But if ever technology allows it in the future, something we may be able to consider. But at this time, it could not be converted. We talk about the lamp, but I'm talking about the bulb. It's the bulb. They're only good for a small bulb, you say? They cannot be replaced. The steam, the sodium high pressure bulb that we presently have on Yvonne Street and Kedgewick Street can't be replaced by lights, by LED bulb. Technology will not allow it. At least the ballast, if ever in the future it can be done, that's something we will look at. So, did you look at lamps that would allow us to have that flexibility in the future? We look to have lamps that were compatible A question of compatibility. Yes. Thank you, Your Worship. Everyone recognizes that the solar technology is under development. It's a question of battery more than anything else. Otherwise, we would all have electric cars. But technology improves all the time, so we hope that in the future we'll be able to take advantage of it. If there's not a question, all those in favor of the resolution say aye. Contrary minded, nay. So the resolution is carried. 10.3 Public Works. Purchase. Mr. Melanson, a compact track loader after call for tender. It was recommended that Atlantic Tractors and Equipment Limited at the cost of $56,865, and this will allow to do work on sports field and a flexibility between the departments. It's recommended for operational, and it's for a recommendation tonight. So to read it, Councilor Brideau. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council awards a contract for the purchase of one compact track loader for the Culture and Leisure and Community Life Division to Atlantic Tractors and Equipment Limited at a cost of $56,865 plus HST, pursuant to the proposal dated February the 12th, 2015, submitted by said firm, and authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 1270-84-2565 Equipment Replacement Program. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councilor Brito, seconded by Councilor Nolan. On the question, Councilor Gadet. What must we understand? First of all, is it's surprising, if I may say, the public work is asking proposals for recreation, but what must we understand by mainly used by leisure, by recreation, if I may? The new big service to the community includes recreation and public works, and also we have a manager for the fleet that takes care of calling for tender and jointly with the different sectors for the purchase of equipment. So the management of the fleet comes under Public Works. Maybe that's why it leads to confusion. That piece of equipment will be used by the operation and all services attached to it, including Public Works. Isn't there one similar or almost the same that I see at the arena or at Senate and Park? No, not an equipment like this, but a similar equipment. Even the last 3 years, the average of rental that we're paying was $11,000. It became logical to say we should buy one, and it gives us more possibilities of use for retention purpose, for reforestation, but it can be attached to something like this. It gives us all these possibilities instead of renting it at $11,000, $12,000 a year. Thank you. It's Monsieur Blanc. Thank you, Your Worship. I think that I received part of the answer to my question. We can purchase some attachment to add to do certain work more than just a shovel in the front. Yes, and we already have attachment that we can use that are compatible. So it's really multifunctional, multi-purpose. So that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Leblanc. If there's no other question, all those in favor, say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. 10.3.2, Mr. Manasso, Your Worship purchased tandem truck chassis. The life span is shortening, so it is recommended to buy one to Universal Truck and Trailer, the cost of $119,000 plus HST, and it's pursuant to proposal dated February 24th. This is for the chassis, and the pieces to be attached will be purchased later on, and we want to buy every pieces that are required. We know the kind of winter we've had, and we want to have dependable equipment is to maintain our fleet in an acceptable state. It's for approval. So for the resolution, Councillor Nolan, please. That Council awards a contract of the purchase of one tandem truck chassis for the Public Works Division to Universal Truck and Trailer at the cost of $119,000 plus HSC pursuant to the proposal dated February 24, 2015, submitted by said firm, and authorizes this expenditure be defrayed from account 1-2-35-60-2565 Equipment Replacement Program. I so move. Moved by Councillor Nolan, seconded by Councillor Dalat on the question. Question, Mr. Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. Following the reading of the documentation, it's not clear what we're doing with the 2005 that we have. Is it a trade-in? Yes. Yeah, we're trading it. So that's taken. This includes the trade-in. Did we assess our truck, the price? Sergeant? Good evening, Your Worship. The evaluation of the 2005 was between 20 and 25 or more. Good, thanks. That's the most. Thank you. Councillor Béliveau. Thank you, Your Worship. So the attached pieces to the present truck are not usable in the new truck. Succession. Your Worship, the present vehicle, the piece for the salt is transferable. The other things that have to be purchased are the chassis, the hydraulic, and so on and so forth. So we have approximately $80,000 in accessories. $80,000 in accessories. We are within the budget, but the salt box is maintained. Your Worship, another question, please. Did we evaluate the consumption of fuel, and did this become a factor of evaluation in your study? When we fall into those categories, we'll look at the fuel. It certainly burns a lot, but it meets all the standards. The different standards for a truck like this can be lit inside a garage for a short period of time, and very little fuel comes out. There's always improvement, but they're not eco-energetic, these trucks. That's why we keep them within specification, but environmental wise, we can't say that they're very good for environment. But there's improvement. It doesn't mean that nothing is being done. But there's a new generation that's coming. The strength of the motor, I understand that it weighs a lot when all the attachments, it has to do its job, but I would like to suggest that we should keep in mind the future. Do we really need big motors? Would smaller motors do the job? Be sure that we are doing a serious job to make sure that the consumption and the other factors are kept in mind. Thank you for your comments. Yes? Any purchase that is being made we consider the capacity and the nature of the car when we buy it according to the size of the machine. So the size of the motor is part of it. Yes, I saw Mr. Bourgeois is involved in the evaluation. Mr. Nolan, thank you, Your Worship. One question when it comes to the color, it will be white. I would like to question the color. The changes will be made at the fire department for the vehicles. One of the big things is white on white, uh, which is the color of snow, represents a risk. That's why we see the provincial truck that are yellow. I'm bringing this question. Maybe it's something that the service could make and bring a recommendation either to keep them or for whatever reason, or maybe it's a good idea to change the color for safety purpose. Especially this year we've had many storms where there was no visibility and maybe a truck of an orange color, as we see on the picture, could be more beneficial for the safety of the personnel and for the citizens who should not be driving but are driving in these conditions. Understand there are lights and everything else, but if we can add safety, why not? We'll study it, but I think that the municipality has a policy as for the color of the vehicles. That's something we'll have to study. Councillor Godet. Your Worship, we've already had vehicles that had a distinctive color, very Dieppe-wise, and what Councillor Jordan just said is worth thinking about. My original question was, what you're saying, as far as trucks, the only thing you're removing is the box, for salt. That's what replaces the old box. It's a dispenser. It's a salt dispenser. What is put back with the truck is the wing and the chassis. The chassis with the equipment that's already on it, except the salt dispenser, contrary to what I understood that you were saying earlier. Everything is sold. In other words, we have to rebuy everything, the plow, the hydraulic, everything, except that's the 80,000. Yes, yes, thank you. I think we said the opposite earlier. No, that's what I understood. Because by reading the text, it was not very clear. The other thing is, I have no problem to replace a truck that's 10 years old. I hope that it was operating properly. Well, until now, yes. It's still working, yes. It was working properly. The people are, for us, it's the maintenance that we have to apply to it. Let's not forget, it's a truck that is being used to spread salt. It brings premature problems. I don't know if, now I'll mention it later on in the 4 minutes. Councillor Leblanc, thank you, Your Worship. Not to keep on going with the color, but we have to look when you have a unique color for the municipality, is to have the availability of a certain color when we purchase something. When we purchase, if we have to repaint them, there is an additional cost to it. Yes. In other mandates many years ago, I remember that it became a problem to have the kind of paint we wanted for certain kind of vehicle. A nice blue. Thank you for your intervention. If there's no further questions, all those in favor, say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried, and the resolution is approved. Appointments. Mr. Nolan, please. Appointments. Environment Advisory Committee. We renewed the 3 persons until December 31st, 2016. Resolution will reflect those persons. To read it, Mr. Brideau. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council appoints the following person on the Environment Advisory Committee for another term ending December 31st, 2016. Hugues Benoit, Mrs. Mia Vautour, and Michel Aubin. I so move. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau on the question. Those in favor say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. Number 11, municipal bylaws. Zoning bylaws Z-8-41 on Dieppe Boulevard and Yvonne Street for first reading by title only. Councillor Leblanc. Your Worship. Bylaw number Z-8-41, a bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. I so move in first reading by title. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Dallaire. On the question, all those in favor say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. So zoning Z-8-41 is adopted at first reading. We'll proceed with second reading by title only. Once again, Mr. Leblanc, once again. Bylaw number Z-8-41, the bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. I so move second reading, title only. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Dallaire on the question. All those in favor say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. And zoning bylaw Z-8-41 is adopted. Any notice of motion? If there's some, I was not told about it. So, number 13, inquiries. Very popular one, inquiries and announcement by members of council. And we shall begin on my right with Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. Just for a follow-up, did we have the possibility of looking to see if we'll have connection or new trails between Pointe Renard and the Dover House? Mr. Burke, at this time, we're listening to what is happening, if there's development, and we'll look at the possibilities, but there's nothing concrete at this time. Nothing more concrete. Thank you, Your Worship. That's all for tonight. Thank you. Councillor Brideau. I don't have much, Your Worship, to say. Maybe a small details that comes to mind. This week we noticed that the Public Works is widening the streets. What is important for these people when they work is the cooperation of our citizens not to leave their car parked in the street when the machines are coming and they're working. So I would ask the citizens, the public, to cooperate, because at least it will facilitate the work of our men who are working on the street. That's a comment I wanted to make tonight, Your Worship. Our men, our staff. Yes, thank you. Councillor Nolan, thank you, Your Worship. There will be a benefit concert on April the 10th at 7 p.m. at the Wesleyan Celebration Church. It's a fundraising for Alyssa Sipley that has a disease that gave her 5% chance of survival, but she survived, and she lost her legs and her arm, but she's still alive. The event is being held on April the 10th by performance by the RCMP Regional and Division J, George Canyon, Dave Gunning, George Beliveau, Kevin Chase, and Fio Durel. The tickets are $20, $25, or $30. So that's it. So if we could have a participation by the population, it would be great. And besides that, that's it. Thank you, Mrs. Dalar. Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to make a suggestion for the meetings that are held on the third Monday, the strategy and policy. For the next meetings, I will give a report on the Advisory Council on Francophonie, on files on which we're working. I would like to suggest that we could add that item on our committee meeting. If there's any update, we could be reminded, at least on a quarterly basis. We were going to add this automatically on the third Monday. There's telepathy somewhere, so the subjects, the advisory committee will be on the agenda every third Monday of the month. Thank you. English. Great minds think alike, and fools never differ. I'll settle for the first part of it. So find yourself, Mr. Godet. I would like to mention that the executive director for Capitol Theatre, after a short illness, I attended the two ceremonies at the theater. And at the end, I felt like an orphan. Max Chouinard did so much as far as vision and everything else that is of social nature, moderation, cultural facilitation, even politics, that his intervention will be missed. Condolences to his family and to all the families of the organization with which he worked. It will affect us in Dieppe also. On the more joyous, I would like to congratulate the commandos and all those involved with the team for their championship of the junior league. Tomorrow morning is the second Tuesday breakfast. That is always at the Igloo at 8:15, 8:30, 9 o'clock for the conference. And tomorrow, it's Monsignor Valerie Vienno who will speak to us on the state of the diocese, of the cathedral, and the ministers. So I'm sure that if some are listening and they want to come, no problem. The conference starts at 9 o'clock, and all are welcome. The subject which I mentioned earlier, and I said I would mention it at this time. Two? Oh, yes. I can say a lot in 2 minutes. First of all, I want to recognize the big work that was done by the staff, especially of Public Works, and all those that worked. I don't know if it's hard, but work with all the snow, and I heard that 2 of the snow plows were not operational, and I think that it was well shown during the last month that snow plows well used can save a lot of time, a lot of problems, and add a lot to the safety in our municipality. So I would like to suggest to the service at least to add one exchange or one safety snowplow. Is it the same for each one? I don't know. It's something that should be looked at. And I also saw on the weekend at the exhibition of the same company as the one we're dealing with that there is a machine that can go and get the snow behind a car or at the door, very efficient, not very big. So I wish that the service would look at it because in many situations, especially where it's smaller, it's an efficient tool. Thank you, Mr. Godet. Councillor Gourmet, thank you, Your Worship. I want to congratulate the provincial racket team. I want to congratulate the young girls at UDIS. The two teams of Dieppe were in finals. So Dieppe won once again. Congratulations to these young girls. And I want to congratulate the organizers of the racket tournament in Dieppe. Thank you. Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have any question tonight, and I don't have any information either. The only thing I had to say were said by the previous councillors. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bilivo. Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to add my congratulations and thank you to the team that snow plows and is presently widening the streets, and also who is cleaning the water drain. I want to mention the good work that is done on the trails. They're easy to walk on with over the challenges of opening them. Congratulations to those teams. I also want to mention last week there was the result of the campaign, the United Way campaign, to recognize having reached the goal and the fact that the city of Dieppe was recognized as the winner of the greatest increase in the public sector in the municipal level. Congratulations to all the employees who are participating, and it is much appreciated. And the last point, it was noticed sometimes, Mr. Alex Leblanc died for many years. He was the owner of Dieppe Pharmacy on Champlain Street. And I believe that Mr. Leblanc worked in Dieppe for close to 40 years with his family. Sincere sympathy, condolences for a fantastic person. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bilivo. Thank you for having reminded us the death of Mr. LeBlanc, who was a businessman. So for me, good evening, everyone.